My name is Bruce Miller, and I guess I'll give you my kind of education facts and then kind of go into how I showed up at Doyon, which is kind of a fun story in and of itself. So, grew up here in town, went to Lathrop, went for the academic gold at Lathrop. I graduated top 10 in my class, had 22 credits from AP classes, and so everything was going great. And then my freshman year came. So, I graduated with like about a 3.8 average in high school. My first semester was a 1.5. My second semester was over 2.0 because I had to do that to be able to maintain, to get back to be able to get any student loans. But apparently I didn't learn my lesson because my third semester was a 1.4, and I got back above 2.0, my fourth semester, and my mom kind of was a little worried about me, and I knew I was just blowing off steam. It's not like all of a sudden I became stupid. It's just, I just was cutting loose, having fun, and in a way it was one of the best things that ever happened to me because I blew the steam off. My mom suggested that I declare academic bankruptcy where they completely wipe your slate clean. You cannot go to school for, I don't know, a couple of years or so, but I knew if I got a job and I got a paycheck, I wouldn't want to give that up compared to being a poor college student. But I knew that I needed the degree to get to where I wanted to be. I didn't know where I wanted to be, but I knew I needed that. So it actually was a good thing, to kind of take that tumultuous start to college. The only thing, I really don't go through life with regrets. It's just, it's not worth it. The one thing I'm bummed about, I don't regret, but I'm bummed, is I got 2 degrees here at UAF, 2 undergraduate. The way I describe it is I got one because I enjoyed it, the other because I wanted to be able to work. And so I have a BA in geography with an economics minor, and then a BBA. And ironically, even though I work in finance, my business degree, the emphasis is actually in human resource management. And the only reason I did that was because the only difference between HR and just straight management is less electives and more HR focused. So I figured I'd rather be mocha than just plain vanilla. But you kind of saw the writing on the wall. If I just flamed out so incredibly those first couple of years, it probably lengthened the time that I was here. I was hoping they would give me an honorary degree. They just kept asking for more checks. So that was a wake-up call. So took me 7 years to finish up all my undergraduate. But I came with 2 degrees, and the other thing that I came out of it was a really broad education, a very classical, broad education. I think 130 credits for a degree, and I think you need usually like around another 30 or 40 if you're going to do a double degree. I have 227. I'm like a year and a half away from a math degree, year and a half away from a statistics degree, a year and a half away from an econ degree, and it could be argued that I wasted a lot of time, but it didn't. I took the classes, I paid attention, and I just kept sticking more stuff in the head. It just came down and kept going, and so when I actually got out of school, didn't know what I was doing, but I had a really good background, and it really helped because it just gave a very broad perspective. And then, like I said, I have kind of a fun story of how I ended up at Doyon. I'm old enough that I almost got out of school before the foundation was even created. And so it was the foundation had just started up. So I got my my first degree in December of 91 and my second in May of 92. So it is older than a lot of you. But it shows how naive I was. Kathy Mayo, the executive director of the foundation at the time, gave me a call and said, hey, and I knew of Doyon. I wasn't into it. It was just this organization that my dad went to the annual meeting and just berated all the time. Wally can attest. You hear about disgruntled shareholders. That was my dad. So I went and, okay, so someone at Doyon wants to talk to me? I'm not doing anything on Tuesday. Okay, sure. So I don't remember what the day was, but I showed up and had this hour-and-a-half chat, 2-hour chat with a woman, and it was a lot of fun. It was just, she's asking me about school and growing up. It turned out that her husband had worked with my dad for years, and so it was just a fun time. Didn't think anything of it. I thought, oh, okay, thanks, Kathy. I met a new person. That's cool. Turned out, and this, like I said, it shows how naive I was. I was being interviewed. I didn't realize it. And the next week, she calls me up and says, there's an internship if you want it. And like I said, it took me forever getting through school. I didn't have a job lined up when I was getting out, so awesome, I'll take that. So I graduated on May 11th, and May 12th at 8 a.m. I showed up at Doyon, not exactly 100% sober, but I showed up, and I made it to lunch so I could take a nap, so that I could make it to 5 o'clock on my first day. And I've been there ever since. So I've been at Doyon now. This coming May will be 26 years. So I've been there for a long time. I've been through 5 presidents. I've had 5 bosses, direct bosses, and so I've seen the company grow tremendously, and not just in size, but just in character and sophistication. Some of the things that we did way back when, I could tell you, and you would just laugh, of just how archaic it sounds, and I look at what we are capable of and what we have there now. It's just tremendous, and so it's been a great learning experience. And so the one thing, you might have picked up on, my business degree was actually in HR. What the heck does HR have to do with finance? Where I was able to, how you fake it till you make it? Where I was able to fake it was, like I said, I'm a year and a half away from a math degree, and my minor for my geography degree was economics. So I could fake all the number crunching. My wife is an engineer for Alyeska, and it chaffs her to no end that she and I have the same level of math. I'm just this pencil pushing, finance geek, and she's a civil engineer, and I can talk math with her, and it bugs her to no end. So I was able to jump into finance a lot easier than I would have been able to without that hard science background. So in my career at Doyon, probably 2/3 of it has been in, 2/3 of it was just strictly focused in portfolio management. And then starting in about 10 years ago, around 2008, I moved over into risk management. Started taking over our corporate insurance programs, and but I've kept my fingers in the portfolio side because I sit on 5 different investment committees working with our 401k programs in the company, the family of companies. And then I actually sit on the finance committee for the Doyon Foundation. One thing, although I didn't get a huge amount of money from Doyon Foundation, I got that first tip. You know, it's so hard when you get out of school to get that first job, to get that first break. You know, I would give you a job if you had experience, but you need experience to get that first job, you know. And so I was lucky enough to have someone who saw something in me and just kind of point me to a person who also saw something in me, you know. And so I've always had felt a great deal of gratitude to the foundation and kind of the opportunities it's given me. And so for about 10 years, I actually sat on the scholarship committee for the foundation. And I would still be doing that, but it was just because we're such a large donor, laws changed and you can't have an employee be on the scholarship. You know, they wanted a arm's length scholarship committee. And so that's when I moved over into the finance committee. But it's been a neat opportunity. You know, I've seen the company, like I said, grow so much, and probably the biggest thing I can say that has really benefited me is just be versatile, be willing to work hard, and don't gripe about doing things that you might feel are below you because you're a college graduate or you're at a certain level within a department. You know, I cannot tell you how many board packets and committee packets I've collated and put together, hauling the trash out, you know, during a board meeting because it's gotten full, making coffee in the morning. You know, it's just you just kind of bide your time with those. You do these little things because they pay off down the road. You know, it's those little things that you don't even realize, and they really do pay off. But instead of me just kind of lecturing, what questions do you have? I mean, like I said, I wanted to kind of give you the, you know, kind of my somewhat unusual background of how I ended up here. But I mean, you know, you guys are in a much different position where, you know, you're kind of at the start looking out, and it's not a matter of how much I know, or, you know, I want to be able to, you know, I might have the answer, but I don't know what exactly the questions are. So, you know, if you guys have any questions, have at it. Stump the chump. Think of it that way. Oh, come on, guys. The other thing, I really, and it's not just a work thing, but just a life thing, be bold. Don't be afraid to speak up, speak your mind. Don't, you know, any questions? Look at that, I got wingtips. Look at that, you know, go for it. Don't be afraid what other people think. Just go for it. Because you'll be amazed what you can do if you stop worrying about what others think. You know, if you just do what's right and you work hard, it's amazing what you can accomplish. I mean, we had a committee meeting here a couple weeks ago for the foundation, and you know, I don't know how much some of you folks have, you know, looked at the markets here in the last month and a half. You know, it's been pretty tumultuous, and you know, one thing I'm grateful to have learned is just having a long perspective in looking at the markets of, you know, what's been happening here just recently. It's just noise. It's just white noise. It's not a fundamental shift in the markets or stuff like that. But it's challenging. You're bombarded with all these headlines. And one of the things I mentioned to the rest of the committee was the formula to do the right thing is incredibly easy. And you know, whether it's work, life, exercise, diet, taxes, all of that, the formula to get it right is ridiculously easy. The execution is the hard part. to day in, day out, do the right thing every time, all the time. That's the harder thing. And I'm not saying that you have to be perfect, but it's just if you do the right thing more often than not, it really does pay off. And I like I said, I'm just walking proof where, just a guy that was getting out of school that just really, I look back and kind of, today me look at, way ago me, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, I just did not have a clue. And I'm just grateful that some folks saw some things in me and took a chance. And, I was able to not let them down. So again, one more chance. Any questions, anything like that? You, sir. That's the other thing. I will be the first to admit, these ladies can attest, I'm a bit of a smartass, so I will use humor to kind of break the tension. So as your red face can attest. It must be windy out, right? So, Wally.
What's your best friend, Kate?
Do not get him started.
Running or skiing? It's well. I'm trying not to go down that road too much, but it actually does tie back to kind of my success. I did ski for UAF. And I've raced competitively for skiing, triathlon. Pretty much my entire life I've been athletic and very competitive. And that has been really a key to my success because it instilled that work, because think about it, because I've talked to other people about like going to school and they're like, well, I'm just going to school. And I go, no, you are you're making a goal. You're deciding you're going to go to school. So you have to work in high school to get the grades to be able to get into the college that you want. And then when you're in the college that you want, you have to plan to finish your degree. And then once you get your degree, you have to figure out how to get a job into a career and then plan out, And so if you go back to, a 14-year-old freshman in high school and said, okay, plan out your next 30 years, to when you've got kids that are possibly going to be in high school. And you just, what? No, you just break it down into achievable goals. It's not this giant thing. It's just what's going to go on tomorrow. Get that taken care of. And then what's going on the next day. And so, my athletics help teach me, set a goal, work to achieve it. And it also taught me how to fail. I can't tell you how many times I have flubbed just horrifically, and it doesn't matter how many times you fall. It sounds like it's such a cliche, and it kind of gets back to, like I said, the formula is really easy, the execution is difficult. It doesn't matter how many times you fall down. It just really matters how many times you get up. It's a cliche, but cliches are that way because they're true. It just matters if you get up and do it again, because that next time just might be the one, and that's the thing, is having that confidence and diligence and frankly grit. Julie had found a great article just talking about grit in people. It's not necessarily the most talented or the smartest person who's going to succeed the most. It's the person that has the grit. They're going to work, they're going to fail, they're going to learn from their mistakes, and they're going to get up and keep doing it again till they get it right. That's the person that, if I'm interviewing someone, that's the person I want. The absolute brilliant person that has never failed, they've never stumbled, they've never, cut their knees. You have no idea how they're going to be, how they're going to react when they finally do, versus the person who has stumbled, has fallen, and gotten up and kept on going, picked their head up, looked their goal in the eye, and just kept going. That's the person is going to get it done. So it's just those kind of traits that will pay off for you. All right, have at it.